I don't know how on earth you would possibly argue that it could hold 20, 30,000 animals that are much larger than human beings.
Well,
Some of them smaller. And you
so
wouldn't be able to get them on the boat either.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So glad you pulled up today. Alright, buckle in, because this one is a clash you don't want to miss. We've got Skylar coming at this from a hard skeptic, atheist angle, going head-to-head with Andrew, who defends the story of Noah's Ark as literally, historically true. And what starts as a calm question, could a boat actually hold every animal on Earth, turns into one of the most revealing back and forths about faith, evidence, and what really counts as science. Stick with me all the way through, because the moment it really cracks open happens later than you'd expect. And trust me, you'll want to be there for it. Before we get rolling, drop a comment and let me know where in the world you're tuning in from. I genuinely love seeing how far this community reaches. Okay, enough from me. Let's get into it.
Andrew.
yeah. Yes.
Yes. All right.
What religion does to you, it makes you believe that you could have a mythological story about God drowning the world, including babies that did nothing wrong, right? Babies, the life on Earth that didn't do anything wrong, the animals, drowns them all, builds a big boat, and somehow humanity survives. This is anti-scientific beliefs. Once again, believing in things that aren't factually true about the world, believing in mythology leads to dangerous.
No, you think
ideas.
you think it's anti-scientific? That I'm anti-scientific?
Yeah, if you think
Can you tell me?
Yes, if you believe the Noah's Ark thing happened, you are anti.
Well, then just answer one question for me. What's the scientific method?
You want me to give you the definition?
You mean no? Just tell me.
Oh, I'm
right
not going to
now.
do it off the top of my head. No,
Because you don't know it. Because you don't know the scientific method.
Yeah, I couldn't quote you the scientific method off the top of my head.
I know.
Yeah, I know. But does that make a difference of whether?
Well, none of you. It's funny
Was this a
because
way of
anytime you
deflecting
guys
from
bring
Noah's Ark
up,
story?
anytime you guys
Was-
bring up
guys,
science,
I know,
it's
I'm
funny
I'm
because
not
you don't know
secular.
anything about it. You don't know anything about
I'm not
science.
secular.
Yes,
first
you
of
are.
all.
You're just LARPing,
No,
bro.
I'm not.
You're just LARPing.
I just accused the other person. I mean, this isn't arguments, right? You deflect. You said that the Noah's Ark story was real.
Yeah, I believe it's real.
And you're
That's correct.
scientific, and you believe in science.
I do. Yeah, that's
So
true.
you believe like two of each animal boarded this massive boat and were saved from all the flooding.
Yeah, I believe it's literally true. That's correct.
Worldwide. Yeah, that's completely. All the animals repopulated all these animals.
Can you tell me what's unscientific about it?
Well, one, I mean, we can see that there are different animals on different parts of the world that don't match up, right?
What?
There'd be no way.
What
well,
animals?
First of all, let me give you an example, right? What did these animals eat when they got off the boat? What did the carnivores eat?
Well, I assume that God would have miracled up their food, right? What's unscientific though about?
He miracled up.
I just want to know. I just want to
miracle's
know.
not scientific.
I just want to know. Well, a miracle can be scientific.
No.
Yeah, sure.
Just miracling up their food isn't scientific.
Well, hang on. Do you believe
that's what you just made?
Do you
believe
that?
Let Andrew speak. I don't mind going down this diverge path.
So I'm trying. So I'm trying to figure this out. I just want to make sure I get this right.
Yeah.
What is unscientific about putting two of each kind of animal on a boat?
We were talking about when the animals go.
Well, let's start at the beginning.
No. I don't want to change what I was just making because I feel
I
like
want to start at the beginning and then we can move through it.
Yeah, two of every kind of animal would.
What's unscientific about that?
It's the size. It doesn't match the math.
Okay, show me the math.
In the Bible, it actually gives you the actual.
Yes, it does. Gives you the actual dimensions.
You know
show
that boat would be smaller than the Titanic.
Show me the math.
Okay, a boat smaller than the Titanic could not hold the food.
Show me. Don't just talk. Prove it.
No, I'm not even gonna do this.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
No. You never answered my question about what the animals ate. You just went to miracles.
This is the part that I find so telling, and I want you to really sit with it. Because the second Skylar pressed on the flood story, you could see the whole foundation start to wobble. Skylar said this, a mythological story about God drowning the world, including babies that did nothing wrong. And here's why that line matters so much to me. It isn't only an attack, it's a moral question a literal reading has never answered cleanly. If you believe a global flood wiped out essentially all life, you have to own what that actually means. And most people defending it would rather skip past it. Then watch what Andrew does. Andrew said this, I believe it's literally true. Not metaphor, not allegory, not a moral fable, literally true. And the moment you commit to that, you've signed up to defend the mechanics of it in the real world. That's the trap, and Skylar walks him straight into it. Because when Skylar asks the simplest possible follow-up, what did the carnivores eat once they got off the boat? Andrew said this, I assume that God would have miracled up their food. And that is the whole game right there. The argument opened as this is scientific, this really occurred, and within a minute the answer to a basic logistics question becomes a miracle. That is not science, that is the exact opposite of it. And here's context people forget. Flood stories like this aren't unique to the Bible at all. The Mesopotamians wrote about a great flood and a man building a boat to save life in the Epic of Gilgamesh long before. So when Skylar said you just went to miracles, it wasn't a cheap shot. It was pointing at the only place this version of the story can survive, outside of evidence.
Well, no, I just said if you're going to make these
Miracle
assumptions,
food.
or if you ask a question like this, you started with the basis of it's unscientific. It's like that's fine,
This is
but
an
let's.
argument for
But as we
ignorance, by
walk
the way,
through
too.
it, you're not actually demonstrating
you're
how it
saying-
would be unscientific.
It's unscientific because you could not fit the amount of animals there are on Earth on size
Then
of that boat.
demonstrate that.
Because we have the dimensions of the boat. Are you saying 2 of every animal on Earth would fit on a boat smaller than the Titanic?
I think it could, sure.
You're ridiculous.
Prove it.
Have you ever been on a fucking boat before?
Yes.
You know, our
Giant
cruise
boats.
boats are cruise boats. Yes. And those are way bigger than what Noah's
Have
Ark
you
is.
ever been on a cruise
And you
boat?
wouldn't, dude, those, yeah. How many do they hold? Like 5,000
A
people?
fucking cruise boat is like a small city, dude.
Yes. It's like 5,000 people, right?
It's a lot of fucking
You know, you'd
people.
have to have like 10, 20,000 animals
Yeah, but do you
on a boat
understand?
smaller than a
Yeah,
cruise
but do
boat.
you understand
on
that?
a boat smaller
Yeah.
than a cruise
Do you
boat?
understand that if you put
clown, you
do
are
you
embarrassing
understand
yourself.
that if you-
arguing that you're arguing that you can
All right,
fit
Yes, I am.
20,000 animals
Yes, I'm
on
arguing
a boat
that.
smaller
That's
than
correct.
a cruise boat when a
Yes.
cruise boat only fits 5,000.
Actually, I'm arguing more, and it doesn't just fit
It's-
5,000.
Yeah,
Let Andrew
listen, you
speak.
might as well just say he just magically put them on a boat.
Let's let
No,
Andrew
I don't
respond
need to. You
Skylar.
haven't
You would actually.
demonstrated
How did Noah
anything.
get all the animals on a boat? if it wasn't-
Demonstrate for me that it's
How- you
unscientific.
just said you wouldn't. How?
Bro,
How did you
Stop
can't? Okay.
pivoting and
It would
answer
be
my
impossible.
question.
It would be impossible for a
Then
human to get
demonstrate
all-
that.
It's,
If it's unscientific, then demonstrating
I'm
that
ready for the
it's
next
not
question.
scientifically
He's
possible
interrupting
should
me
be
now,
simple.
So I'm not
This-
going to
yeah,
go any
there's
further.
been
I think we've hit.
There's been a series of
Yeah.
interruptions, but I do feel like it would be fair just to let Andrew close this one
Oh yeah,
off
let him
where it was
close
his
it out. No,
question.
he's good now. Yeah, let him answer it out. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
so this is really simple.
I think all he said
If
was
it's-
yes, but yeah, we went down a
Yeah.
big path. It's
If
okay.
it's unscientific, then he should be able to demonstrate this. He says we have the dimensions mathematically, which we do. The Bible gives them. So all he has to do is demonstrate mathematically that it's an impossibility. And then I'll concede the argument after I look at the actual formula, and we can vet it and see if it's correct or not. And I can see if I can refute it or not. I think that that's totally fair. And that being that he values the scientific method, I think that he would be the first one to jump on that.
Now this is where it gets good, because Skylar stops arguing in the abstract and makes it physical. Skylar said this, it's unscientific because you could not fit the amount of animals there are on Earth. Simple, concrete. And it puts the burden exactly where it belongs, on the person making the enormous claim. And look at Andrew's answer. Asked whether 2 of every animal on Earth could fit on a boat smaller than the Titanic, Andrew said this, I think it could. I think it could. That isn't a position built on evidence. That's a position built on needing it to be true. And the difference between those two things is everything. Here's the part that blows my mind. Skylar reaches for something every single viewer can picture. Skylar said this, have you ever been on a cruise? They hold like 5,000. A cruise boat is like a small city. That is such a smart move because now you don't need a science degree to feel the problem. You've seen how enormous a modern cruise ship is. It's a floating city. And it carries a few thousand people, not tens of thousands of large animals plus all their food and water for the better part of a year. So when Skylar finally says it flat out, you might as well just say he just magically put him on a boat. That's not an insult. That's an accurate description of the only answer left on the table. Once every hard question gets resolved by a miracle, you're not describing history anymore. You're describing faith, and there's nothing wrong with calling that what it is, but you can't dress it up as science in the same breath.
So, you know what? I'll play game here. Give me 1 second. Let's see. How many
All right, we're
people
doing this.
does the
We're doing it.
largest
Why not?
cruise ship hold?
Have a small interlude, but if you guys want to come back and have a
the
long
largest
format
cruise
debate,
ship
that's cool.
would be about 9,000. That's the largest cruise ship in the world, right? There would be at least 20,000 animals. At least I'm just ballparking 20,000. You're talking way more, actually, right? And if a cruise boat that's almost triple the size of the Ark, can only hold 5,000 human beings, I don't know how on earth you would possibly argue that it could hold 20, 30,000 animals that are much larger than human beings.
Well,
some of them smaller. And you
So-
wouldn't be able to get them on the boat either. That's the
So
other
first,
part.
let me ask
Or
you a
feed them.
question. Are these people who are on this cruise ship that holds 9,000 all shoulder to shoulder? What's the space dimensions between them?
Are the animals shoulder to shoulder?
They could be. That's why I'm asking you the question.
Yeah, that it still wouldn't make the difference because you still
Then demonstrate it again.
you.
I'm asking a very specific
You think
question.
the animals being shoulder to shoulder would make the difference within that size boat?
I don't know. I would have to see it
it's
demonstrated.
Okay. I'm comfortable with
Not
we
demonstrated.
need to-
anything.
no.
we
I'm,
do need to
I'm
wrap it
comfortable
up.
with you not believing that. I'm comfortable with you.
I don't believe you about
Yeah,
anything.
no. I'm comfortable with that. I think that says more about you than me.
Yeah, the
So-
guy who doesn't know the scientific method, but trying to demonstrate that it's scientifically impossible. Great stuff. Big brain.
So-
Like I said, you're talking about a boat this size, smaller than the Titanic, when our biggest cruise ships are quadruple size, holding 9,000, and then you're expecting it to hold like 30, 50,000.
I just
animals.
want you to
plus
demonstrate
the food,
it.
Plus the food.
I just want
right?
you to demonstrate it, bro.
And scientifically, there's no way you'd get all those animals on one
Can
boat.
you demonstrate it?
No, what you're doing is asking me to prove it's impossible for this to happen. That's
Yeah.
arguing a negative.
Well,
No,
let's-
it's not.
No, it would be your job to
Let's
show
discuss
that it's
this
possible.
some other time because
That's your job. You're making the claim it's possible.
we
No,
did
you
take
made
a
the
difference.
divergence.
Possible.
You made the claim it was impossible, not me.
And here's where it all comes to a head, and I think it's the most important moment in the entire exchange. Skylar lays out the actual numbers. Skylar said this: the largest cruise ship would be about 9,000. The biggest ship humans have ever engineered with all of modern shipbuilding behind it holds around 9,000 people. And then Skylar said this: I don't know how on earth you would possibly argue that it could hold 20, 30,000 animals. That's the knockout, and it isn't even loud. It's just math walking up and shaking hands with a story. Now watch the retreat, because this is what people don't realize about these moments. Andrew said this: some of them are smaller. That's the whole counter. Some animals are small. Okay, but elephants aren't, rhinos aren't, giraffes aren't, and you still need food, fresh water, waste handling, climate control, and survival across an entire voyage. Pointing at the hamsters doesn't solve the elephants. And then comes the move I want everyone to catch, because it's the oldest trick there is. Andrew said this: you made the claim it was impossible, not me. He tries to flip the burden of proof to make Skylar the one who has to prove a negative. But you have to understand how this works. If you're the one insisting a specific event literally happened in history, the weight is on you to show that it could. The person doubting an extraordinary claim doesn't owe you a mathematical disproof. That's backwards, and it's backwards on purpose. And here's a genuinely useful piece of history. The reason we trust the scientific method at all traces back to thinkers like Ibn al-Haytham 1,000 years ago, who insisted that claims about the natural world get tested and shown, not just asserted. That principle is exactly what Skylar is standing on. Demonstrate it or set it aside. Andrew couldn't demonstrate it, so he asked someone else to disprove it instead. And that single move tells you everything about which side was actually doing science in this conversation. So what do you guys think of this? Leave your thoughts down in the comments, please like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.